Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome again to my YouTube channel, Eric Brothers YouTube. I say again, welcome to my YouTube channel, Eric Brothers YouTube. And so today I'll be continuing a series with some more military content, and today I'll go back to military perks and benefits, and this will be part 2. And I also have the other series for some military content about special forces, and I will be following up with that this week on the requirements for the TACPs. But anyway, let's get started, and this right here will be brief. So today I'm just going to briefly cover one of the benefits and the perks of serving in the military, and that will be the housing allowance. And in the armed forces, the housing allowance stateside for assignments that are in the United States, it is known as BAH. Acronym stands for Basic Allowance for Housing. And if it's overseas, it is known as OHA, Overseas Housing Allowance. But basically, in a nutshell, one of the perks and benefits for military members is that when they are authorized to move off base and move out of, say, the dormitories, or if they don't want to stay in base housing and they need to acquire, quarters, apartment or house, anything, to rent or just living quarters. What will happen is that the military, regardless of branch of service, it provides a tax-exempt payment or allowance for military members in order to pay their rent. Some may even use it, to pay their mortgage. But the same thing, obviously, with a mortgage, you're taking on a loan, rent. You just say put down whatever the pre-requirement is. I'm forgetting the word of what you call it when you go on the rent, but when they require you to put down maybe 1 or 2 months in advance. But the housing allowance, what it does, it covers the expenses for I'm not going to say lodging, but gosh, guys, I am like stumped here. I'm getting it mixed up with temporary lodging facilities, but basically just for your living quarters. That's what I want to say. Your living quarters. Just forgive me, guys. I'm a little bit clouded, but yes, for military members' living quarters. Now, this particular housing allowance, it goes according to the individual's rank. So basically, if you have, say, an individual that may be, say, an E3, and they're authorized to live off base, and say you have someone that's say an E7, okay? And those, I'm just giving you grades because for each branch of service, let's see, the actual grade and the actual rank, they're going to be called something different. Like a example, E7 in the United States Air Force is going to be a master sergeant. In let me see who I can think of. In the Navy, it would be a let's see, there's an E6, a chief petty officer. I'm trying to get it right here. Or the Coast Guard, a chief petty officer. I got to go back and figure it out. But I know for the Marines would be a gunnery sergeant. And let's see, what is it for? Let me see. Master sergeant in the Army is I believe is a E8. What is the E7 for the Army? I can't think of it right now off the top of my head, but that's the reason why I chose to use the particular those particular grades, E7 or E2, so that way it's uniform across the board, and I don't have to boggle my brain trying to figure out what the equivalent rank is, or the term that we use in the military for each branch of service. But anyway, because of the difference in rank, and grade, the allowances are going to be um, they're going to be adjusted according to that. Now, the reason being is that obviously they figure, a E7 is of higher rank, and so they probably accumulated more stuff over time. So they probably figured that E7 would need more space than, say, maybe someone that's an E3 or E2 that's newer to the military, and that's younger. They haven't had a chance to accumulate stuff, and then also on top of that, they don't have the particular rank and level of pay or authority as, say, the E7 does. The E7 carries much more responsibility, whereas your E2 or E3, they're basically just like a worker bee. But your E7 is going to be in the beginning of senior leadership on the enlisted side. So they carry a greater level of responsibility and leadership, and so thus they are rewarded, for their level of responsibility and leadership. So that is also, one of the perks, but that comes with the territory. On the civilian side, it'd be the same thing. You're not going to pay somebody the same rate that works in the mailroom as you would, say, maybe a senior manager. It's just they're not going to get paid the same thing, and neither are their allowances going to be the same. It's commensurate. It is commensurate with the grade. But anyway, so this one is really choppy here, guys. But you're still getting the gist. But basically, that housing allowance, and if it's overseas, it's OHA. And what it does, it covers the rental expenses, or either in the case of if the member has a mortgage, it'll cover the mortgage expenses, for that military member. Now, for their particular housing allowance, depending on how the individual service member chooses or how they want to live, they may choose to find a place where they can exhaust all of their housing allowance, or they may choose to find a place where they can basically go below their housing allowance, and probably try to maybe save the rest. I know a bunch of guys and girls that did that when I was in, and I think I did that maybe a little bit, but most of the time I always try to max mine out, see what the most that I could get. Now, in certain cases overseas, with the overseas housing allowance, some of the landlords are smart. I had a case in Bahrain where, when I lived in Bahrain, myself and, say, a person of a higher rank could have the same 3-bedroom apartment, but they would basically they were allowed to get away with it, which I didn't think it was fair, but they can charge each member what the full rate of their housing allowance was, but they both could live in the same building and have the same exact apartment, but they're charging different rates to each member according to their grade and rank and what their housing allowance was. Now, obviously, in the United States, you're not allowed to do that, but Bahrain is in the Middle East. But there are some cases where the landlords, they may study up on what the military members get for how, and they try to somehow write that in the contract. And in certain cases, they may be able to get away with it. But what I would say, it would depend. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, a married couple would need more than, say, a single couple. Now, in terms of with this housing allowance, if you have, say, both military members and they decide to live in occupy or share the same space, what will happen is that one member is going to take a lower rate of BAH or OHA. One of the members are going to, say, if it's a husband and a wife, and they're both military. If, say, they're both allotted, say, maybe $1,500 a month for a housing allowance, and which one of them will have to take, they're two different rates. You have single rate BAH or OHA, and then you have with dependent rate. So for a military member that is single and, say, just themselves with no dependents, they're going to get, a certain rate. And somebody that has, say, a dependent, or I think it may go as high as up to maybe 2 dependents might be the limit as high as it'll go. I can't remember everything, but the person that has more dependents will get, of the same rank and grade, will get a higher rate of this housing allowance, whether it's overseas or whether it's in the States. You know, now I think it could be more than that, but I'll double check on a housing allowance how much they'll cover. But I know they set a cap or a limit, you know, to it. You know, but either way, I mean, it's nothing to complain about. I mean, hey, it's free. You know, it's basically in a sense free money, and it's tax exempt. So it just goes into the military member's paycheck, and it is counted as non-taxable income. So if you are authorized $1,500 for a housing allowance, whether you're overseas or in the United States, that's $1,500 clear and free. And how you choose to what living arrangements you choose, or whatever you choose to pay for rent, or if you can get a mortgage that say maybe under it, say $1,000, then you basically get to save and put $500 in your pocket. You know, so many military members do that, you know. And then obviously when you have, like I said, with two military members, if it's a husband and wife, or if two military members decide to room up and they decide to share the same living quarters, what'll happen is, like I said, when the two members sign that lease or whatever, the mortgage agreement, one of them normally will have to take a lower rate of the housing allowance than the other. But either way, tax exempt and free money. But if you are single, I would pretty much probably suggest that you know, get your own place. If you're not married, nothing like that, or you don't have any kids or a parent or dependent that you have to take care of, why not get the max amount of this housing allowance that you can get? That's more money in your pocket, and then you can figure out exactly where you want to rent, or if you're going to get a mortgage, how much you're going to get it for. And if it's below the amount of the housing allowance that the military is getting you, then keep the rest, put it in your pocket, or either invest it or something. You know, it's a perk, and it's an advantage that you have that I would have to say probably many employees on the civilian side, I don't think in most cases they don't get allowances like this. There are certain career fields and jobs where on the civilian side where they are authorized housing allowances, but that's not the norm. In most cases, that's not the norm. Certain jobs do offer it, but not most. But anyway, guys, that's all I have on this one. But this was just one of the perks. The military housing allowance. Hey, it pays, you know, saying for your rent, you know, or your mortgage, you know, and it is tax free. So it's tax free money, you know. So something to consider. Just one of the perks. And I have others that I will be covering in other parts. So part 3 is soon to come, and so just stay tuned, guys. But yeah, forgive me, I was a little bit stuck on, clouded on my ideas, probably trying to get out too much information at one time. But today we covered the housing allowance, and that is one of the perks of serving in the military and in the armed forces. And stay tuned for the continuation of the Special Forces series and requirements, guys. But that's all I have on this one. I have something coming out on my Snacks Thoughts podcast this week, guys. So you know, stay tuned and be ready. Name of this channel is Eric Broadus YouTube. That's EricBroadus YouTube. And you can become a subscriber by smashing that bell. Hit the like button to like the video. Hit the unlike button if you don't like it. Either way, leave a comment. Love to dialogue with you. And everyone is entitled to their opinion and to their perspective, and has a right to be heard. And also, maybe you have some other additional information that you may want to add in the comment section, you know, for me, and also for, you know, other viewers who may want to know. But that's all I have on this one. And also my podcast, Snacks Thoughts, SNAKZTHOUGHTS, can be found on Spotify, Spreaker. It can be found on Radio PBM, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and a host of other social media outlets. So please share Eric Brothers YouTube and share Snacks Thoughts with your family, friends, enemies, frenemies, cats, dogs, bats, goats, whatever. Share them and push them out. And thank you guys to all my subs for getting me to over 100,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. But continue and please share it, push it out, and continue to support my channel and my podcast. Thank you guys. 100K. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Peace out, and I will catch you soon on the next one. Later.